Hey, what up guys, Carlos here, aka Lobo Films, and today I'm going to be showing you my version of the iZoom. Now there's two things that we're going to need to pull off the effect. You're going to want a camera that shoots at 60 frames per second or higher, and you're going to need a zoom lens. Now I highly recommend that you get a zoom lens if you don't have one, because we're going to need a detailed shot of the eye. If you have just like a 35mm prime or a 50mm prime, it's going to be a little harder for you to get that detailed shot, because basically you're going to have to hold that camera as close as you can to the person's face. And I mean, who knows how much detail will be there and exactly how close to that eye you can get. The zoom lens that I use is a 18 to 200mm. And I mean, I love the lens. I use it for the eyeball shots. I use it for the zooming into screen. I also use it when I'm doing like close-ups of people's logos while they're working out. So a zoom lens really comes in handy. So with all that being said, let's jump into Premiere Pro. I'm going to show you some raw footage first, kind of explain to you how I got the shot, and then we're going to piece it all together. Alright guys, so here we have our two clips. One is going to be of the eye, the other one is a hyperlapse that I did of the gym. Usually when I do the eye zoom effect, I always like to follow it up with like some kind of hyperlapse or a time freeze. I don't know why, I guess that's just a personal preference of mine. I like to add two epic shots one after another, just to like add that wow factor. Let me show you the clip right here. I'm gonna let it play. And everything that I did right here was all handheld. And I have him open his eye, tell him to close it, tell him to open it again, tell him to close it. Definitely, whenever you're doing it, make sure you have them do it, 2-3 times. It's good to have multiple takes, that way you can pick and choose. Okay, so we're going to come to the image, we're going to right click, and we're going to go to interpret footage. Right now it's at 60 frames per second. Well, we're going to come right down here and switch it to 23.976. Hit enter, and now we're gonna have it completely slowed down, and now we're just gonna be looking for a good spot. Okay, that one's pretty good. Let's see what the other one looks like really quick. Okay, yeah, that's perfect. I like that shot. So mark in right here, opens his eye, and we'll mark out. And then we're just gonna grab the video only and drag it down to the timeline. Now notice how it's still a little shaky. So we're going to do something to make it a lot smoother. We're going to go over here to effects, and we're going to type in warp. Down here is warp stabilizer. Drag that onto the footage, drop it on, and right now it's going to stabilize our footage. So now let's play that back, and you'll see it's going to be a lot smoother. Perfect. Now whenever you add warp stabilizer, if you want to add any other effect or clips over it, it's going to mess it up. So what we want to do next is just make sure you select the image, right click, we're going to go to nest sequence, hit OK, and then now that clip that we did, that we added the warp stabilizer, is right here in the timeline as its own separate clip, which now it's going to allow us to add any other effects we want to on it or footage on top of it, and it's not going to mess it up. So next, let's go over here and look at the hyperlapse real quick. that's about it right there. It's not a very long one. Bring it down. And what we're going to do here is use the arrow key, go over to the right just one time. So what we're going to do right here, we're going to right click and we're going to add frame hold. And what that's going to do is pretty much make this complete clip just still, which is exactly what we want for when we're going to put it in the eye. Okay, so let's just pick a point of his eye right now to work with. So we put the image right on top. Right now it looks just like that, you can't see anything. So we're going to select the top image, go over here to editing, and we're going to scale it down. And kind of like make sure you get it right over the eye. Now what I like to do is I'll change the opacity down just a little bit in the meantime, just so I can see exactly where I want it to be. So I'm going to be moving it around here a little bit. Maybe scale up. That should be good right there. So I'm gonna go back to, put it back to 100. There we go. And the next thing we're gonna want to do, is go right here where it says opacity, and we have the option to do a drawing mask, a square, or a circle, or oval, whatever you want to call it. We're gonna click on that, and all of a sudden we're going to be able to outline the eye. So we're going to bring it up like this. And that looks pretty good right there. Next thing I'm going to do is go to the mask opacity, and I'm going to start bringing it down. Now, right here is all going to be personal preference on what you want it to look like, or how you want it to be. For me, I like to have it like, you know, barely visible. There's some people that I've seen before that like have it showing like that, and honestly, I mean, not to say anything bad about it, but I think it kind of looks a little tackier when it's, the more visible it is. I think it looks a lot more realistic and better when it's just barely there, but you can still notice. So I usually like to keep it like around 6, 7, 8. Just depends on the shot. For this one, I'm going to leave it at 7, and then we're going to go right here to the mask feather, and then we're going to feather it up like crazy. So it kind of like, what this is going to do is it's going to blend his eye and then the other shot together and kind of make it seem more natural. So that should be good. And let's see how that looks real quick. Looks pretty good. So let's find where he's going to open his eye. Okay, so right there we're going to drag this out. And first I'm gonna close this clip really quick so I can kind of just see exactly where I want it to be. And drag it right there, and we can toggle back on. I'm gonna click right here on the mask, and we're gonna make sure that we go right here to the mask path, hit the little stopwatch. It's gonna add a keyframe. And we're going to be making a few adjustments here. And actually, let me see. I don't like how it looks right there. There we go. So we'll start it right here. Okay, so bring this down. And then you're just gonna go frame by frame, adjusting it. And it's a tedious process. Masking is not fun. I think we're pretty good right there. I'm gonna drag it out a little bit. It should be good right there. So I'm gonna cut it off right here. And let's see how that looks. Play it again. And that looks pretty good. There is going to be times whenever you're doing it and, like, you know, see how his eye still kind of moves a little bit. So you might have to come over here and then you'll have to adjust the position, maybe do a couple keyframes for that, and just kind of follow it around so you get it as close as possible without it looking weird. Alright guys, so that's looking pretty good right there. The next thing we're going to want to do, we're going to line it up right here, right where the Fox Fitness Hyperlapse is, right over the eye shot. And we're going to cut right here. And then I'm going to select both clips together, right click, and then I'm going to nest them so that they're together in one sequence. Now what that does right here is I can do anything I want to this footage, and whatever it does, it's gonna like do it together. Meaning, like, if I zoom it, like if I start, once I start scaling up on his eye, it's not gonna affect the Fox Fitness because it's all added together as one clip. So let me grab the hyperlapse shot, and we're gonna drag that down here. And let me see, right here on this part is all just kind of judgment on what you think looks best. I'm gonna play around with it a little bit. I'm gonna start from right here and then we'll see how it looks. So the next thing you'll do, go back to editing, and let's hit the stopwatch for scale and the stopwatch for position. And then what we want to do, I'm gonna zoom in here a little bit, go to the end of that clip, and then we're gonna start zooming into the eye, and I just scale up the whole time. A lot of people think, you know, by scaling up you're gonna lose so much quality and it's not gonna look good. Yeah, you do lose the quality, but you got to keep in mind, guys, this clip goes so fast that the last thing someone's gonna be thinking about is the quality of the shot. Like I said, it's gonna be a real fast movement, so honestly no one's even gonna notice if it's quality or not. If it, I mean, it gets a little, obviously it gets pixelated a little bit once you start coming up, but if it happens within a second, like, nobody's gonna notice, trust me. So I'm gonna keep zooming in. So like with your shot, just keep zooming in until you find like, until you almost cover the screen with it. And that looks pretty good right there. So let's see what it looks like with the keyframes. So that's a little too fast for me. I want it slower, so what we'll do is grab these two and bring it back a little more. Let's see how that looks. There we go. Alright, that works. And let's make sure that we drag it all the way over here. And play it back one more time. There we go. Okay, the next thing we want to do will be to drag this clip a little bit underneath. Or actually, you know what, we're going to drag it on top. And let me zoom in here a little bit. And we're going to go over here to the opacity, make sure that the stopwatch is clicked. And let's bring the opacity down. Now this is how you're going to have to be playing with the clips a lot. So notice how I zoomed in a little too much as far as for the eye. So we're gonna have to go back to the eye and make a few adjustments. That way it kind of matches up with the actual Fox Fitness building hyperlapse. So let me go back over here, and now we're gonna just try and match it up as close as we can. And start coming down. You can see I zoomed in a little too much. But that's all part of the process. There we go. That's about, and I'm pretty happy with that shot. Now keep in mind, you're not going to be able to get it perfect every time. I mean, there might be times where you actually do get it spot on perfect, but for the most part, I mean, as long as you get it really close, it's all that matters. So let's click back to our Fox Fitness sign, and we still have that opacity set to 2, which is fine. We're going to leave it like that. And let's go over one more frame. And let's set that back to 100. I think it's going to be a little too fast, so we might have to adjust it. So let's see. And it goes a little faster than what I would want it to be, so we'll go over one more frame. Drag it, and we're gonna play with the shot a little bit. Hold on. And once again, we're gonna have to mess with the scale a little bit. Maybe move it over. There we go, that works. Let's see. Let me render it out. And that's how I do it, guys. Pretty simple. Not a whole lot to it. It's just mainly a lot of adjusting and keyframing with the scale, the position, and the opacity, and adding your keyframes, and that's about it. Hopefully y'all enjoy the video. Make sure to follow me on Instagram at lobo__films, and tag me in your videos. I'm always looking forward to seeing what other people are doing. So hope y'all like the video. Stay tuned till next time.